Good morning, folks. It's Dennis from Aspen Thicket Grouse Dogs. Thanks for tuning in. Got a short video for you this morning. We're going to talk about the brand new Alpha 300i made by Garmin. Now, I know a lot of you have previous experience with the 200 or the 200i. Maybe some of you have the 300 or the 300i are just working through it. Or maybe you have the Garmin Astro and you're thinking about upgrading, or you have the Dogtrail one. Either way, this is just going to be a short overview. So I'd like to start out by saying thanks to all of our partners that work with us here at Aspen Thicket Grouse Dogs. There's almost too many of them to list at this point in time, but in particular, you know, we have good friendships and partners with Pike Gear, the Bird Dog Podcast, Field Armor, Collar Clinic, Cato Outdoors, the Michigan Upland Experience, and many, many others that help us out here at the channel by participating in a lot of the things we're doing and whatnot. And we really, really appreciate the camaraderie of these folks to help us as we go along. So anyhow, we're going to get started here. We're going to talk about this. This is the Garmin Alpha 300i, right? And the original Garmin Astro, which was just a tracking device, came out, many, many years ago. I think that I want to say that came out in like 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. So we're 18 years into product development now that brings us this Garmin Alpha 300. From the Astro stemmed different models of the Astro, then eventually the Garmin Alpha 100, which was the first time you could track and train. So when we talk about the Garmin Alpha here, we're talking about a piece of equipment that is a GPS tracker for your dogs, and it is also a remote trainer because you have the ability on the handheld and the collar. You can see the prongs here to use stimulation to reinforce the training that you've already done on your dogs, whether it's through tone, vibration, linear stimulation, or the more modern type of stimulation that is allowed on this device. So the thing that makes it the eye when we talk about when we move to the Garmin Alpha 200, which is the model that preceded this, the 200 had some more updated functional features, and there were some little updated collars. You could actually get a mini collar, which some people like for smaller dogs, beagles, things like that. But it also introduced the I model, and what the I stands for is the Garmin InReach. And the Garmin InReach actually makes this a satellite communicator because it has the InReach functions and chip built right into it. And for those of you who've never used that, I would recommend you take a look at it. We've been using it for several years here at Aspen Thicket, primarily because I hunt by myself and I'm not getting any younger, and I like to be able to communicate with my wife. And secondarily, of course, because we are a guiding operation, and if somebody gets in trouble, we want to be able to flip this back and hit that SOS button, and which will directly link you with your emergency dispatch and send people out looking for you through their system. So and this does work in a communication situation. My last handheld was a 200i, and I had a situation where a dog got severely wounded in the woods, tore herself up pretty good, was bleeding pretty bad, had a stick in her. We were able to get her back to the truck and communicate using the Garmin Alpha InReach function on here to where my wife had a vet all lined up for us where we could drive straight to the vet for that. So that's a really good instance, an example of why you might want to have something like that. And the good thing about this is now with the new system, you can actually use an app on your phone that links it to this, that makes it much easier. But anyhow, that's kind of like so now we're in the 300 from the 200, and really there's some upgrades to this that primarily focus on a number of things. I mean, there are some upgrades particularly for the houndsman, but for us bird dog guys, there's a couple of things that I really, really, really like about this. First and foremost is this thing is powerful. I don't know what kind of chip they put in it. They put a faster chip or something like that, but this thing powers up a lot quicker than the previous generations have. It has built-in wireless and Bluetooth. So what I've done with it, and you can do this too, is you connect it to the wireless on your house, and then you can do all of your updates via the handheld right here. And also they don't have any of the like maps where you used to have to go online and download them through Basecamp or something like that. They've basically taken Basecamp out of the equation, and now you can basically hit the home screen and there's a map manager on here, and it will tell you, you can, if you want to, I don't know if you can see that, but you can actually download your maps right here. Now, your topo active maps do not need a description, and your satellite imagery no longer needs a subscription. If you remember, we used to do that through Bird's Eye Satellite. That's no more. It's free with the purchase of this, and you just basically select an area on the map for you select the map management button on here. You click what map you want to, what product you want to add, and then it brings up your map. You select the area on the map, you hit download, and it does it right over your Wi-Fi. And it's really slick, and actually it's pretty fast. I did probably a 1 mile by 1 mile square area on here, and it was probably done downloading within 45 seconds or something like that. So that's one of the things I really like is the wireless connectivity, the speed of this, and also the battery life is really insane on this thing. As many of you know, if you follow my Facebook page, we had picked this up well over a month ago, and I wanted to work through it a little bit. So I had some familiarity with the project before I was going to be pimping it to you guys or telling you not to buy it one way or another. And I'm here to tell you that the battery life on this thing is insane. I have only charged this, I believe, once in the month or so that I've owned it. And I do use this approximately maybe 2 hours a day, with letting my dogs out of the kennel in the morning and the evening. And then of course, any training that I'm doing on the property, I use this, and it's only, the charge lasts me well over a week, if not into 2. So the battery life on this thing is outstanding. We already talked about the wireless updates. That's really great. This one also is the I model, so it has the InReach capabilities on that, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. But the battery life is just amazing. The ease of use of the menu on here is really crazy. Also, you can configure the menu any way you want to. You can take things off of it, you can add them, you can move them around just by pushing the button, holding the button and moving it around, just like if it was something on a tablet home screen. So that's really good. Switching to the collar, it comes with a newer collar, which is called a TT25. I really, really like this collar. For one, it's smaller than the 15X that I have. The battery life on this one, again, is insane. I charged it last night for the first time in a month, and it didn't even need charging at that point. It was probably a little bit below half, and again, that's 2 weeks worth of a couple hours a day. But it's compact. The charging clip would be kind of questionable for me because it's hard to get on there. I kind of like the old charging clip better, but I guess beggars can't be choosers because the lightweight, the battery function of this, and the fact that this thing acquires satellites really, really quick and links to this handheld like high speed. Like I said, I don't know what kind of chips they're using or something in here, but they definitely broke out some advanced technology. Those of you that have used this for a long time know that we've always had issues with the internal antenna wire for the GPS antenna. This gets worn and broken. Well, the good news is, I don't know if you can see those 2 screws on there now. It appears that this entire antenna thing is basically a plug and play. So it used to be, if you broke that antenna wire in there, you had to send it back to Garmin to get it fixed, and they'd usually turn you around with a refurbished one for half the price. But as I understand, in this new model, you can actually replace this GPS antenna, which is really important to us grouse hunters, because we run our dogs essentially like houndsmen in the terms of through the very same cover. And these things take a beating, and usually what happens is they twist, they bump this point here, or it just gets a little bit of rot on it. And by the way, this one is much more bulkier type of plastic, and it's a little bit harder than the previous generation. But we do a lot of woods work, and those antennas were always a fail point. So it's nice to see them change that. Also coming along with it is a charging cube. Everything that goes with this now, this is that clip for the collar. All of this is basically based off USB-C. So if you need to charge something, you can basically charge it via USB-C. This one looks like it has a little bit of frequency resistor on it, but this is the one for actually charging the handheld. And you can essentially use any type of USB charger for these models. And I really like the USB-C. As many people know, with the older models with that modified connection on it before, that thing was really, really bad and it would get worn out. Your charging port is in the same spot, except now it's a USB-C. The battery, same spot, and then behind that is where you can put your mini SD card, similar to the other models. So really, really enjoying this so far. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about is the ability to use your phone with this dog tracker. And you can basically use your phone or your tablet if you're in the truck, and you can, what you do is you wirelessly connect via the Garmin Connect app to your tablet or your phone, and that basically gives you a lot of the functions that you would have on the handheld to be able to track and watch your dogs on that actual screen. It does not give you the ability to stimulate the dogs if you need to do that, but I think that's a really, really great option. Of course, most of us use our watches nowadays. It's fully compatible with the watches as with any other Alpha or Astro, but looking at your phone via the Connect app is another cool option for you. Or if you have a tablet in your truck, then you want to run Onyx in there to, look for some cover or something like that. You can also flip back to the Garmin Connect app, and you'll have the same satellite imagery and everything that you have on your screen here. So you can use that as a possible option as well. So I really, really do like that. And then for the purposes of the InReach, there is within that Garmin Connect app, and there's a separate Garmin Messenger app. Used to be when you had to use the InReach function, you would be on here, you'd hit the InReach button, you would go to messages, right? And you would click, I want to do a new message, and then you're going to type a message. Well, the thing is, when you come up to type it, you have to use that very, very small little keyboard, which is actually smaller than your phone, which, hey, again, beggars can't be choosers, because it's really, really cool to have this in your handheld thing. But now with that app, no matter where you're at, whether you have cell service or not, as long as you're Bluetooth tethered to this, you can use the app on your phone to send a text message or an alert or the help or whatever you need to do, instead of trying to type it on here. So I do really, really like that. Like I had mentioned earlier, I hunt by myself a lot. I'm out in BFE somewhere in the middle of the UP. I don't have cell service. It's 7:30 at night. It's going to be dark in 20 minutes, and I'm an hour and a half from home. It's nice to be able to use that satellite messenger and just send a message to my wife. And actually, you can preset a number of messages in there. I'll just hit the preset message that says, I'm out of the woods and I'm on my way home. And that way she knows where I'm at. Another cool function of the InReach, and I often do this with my wife as well, if I need her to know where I'm at. When I start a hunt, I can hit a button on that InReach that'll automatically send a text to her phone that sends her a link where she can follow me on that entire hunt. So if something happens to me, she will have that link that she can give to first responders, and they will have an easier time finding me. So if you're about personal safety, that is really, really worth the extra. I think it's like $70, $100, whatever, to have it added to the handheld, to buy the 300i instead of the 300. And the subscription price, which is basically $14.95 a month for 10 text messages. I upped that come hunting season to a plan for, I think it cost me about $34 a month during hunting season. And then I go unlimited, and that's a really, really great feature. So I would really, really consider that if you do hunt by yourself. You might be getting up in age, or you might have a physical limitation. That's a really, really good thing to have. So I wanted to keep this a little bit short. I mean, that's basically the introduction to it. I don't really feel that I have to emulate all the other videos that are out there, because with this product, what's really cool is there are tons and tons of YouTube videos out there for how to do things on here. The premise is basically the same, right? You have your map screen, you have your dog screen, you have your home screen, and like I said, all of those things you can rearrange across the top. If you see that I change it, I can cycle through all the collars with the training buttons. And again, that's all fully customizable on here. So in terms of function, the buttons are still the same on the sides. The buttons on the top are still the same, but the software is much, much different. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more responsive. These things link up quick. And in the month or so that I've been using it, even with my older collars, it does use the TT15s and 15Xs that I have. I have not had one collar drop on me. And I even had a dog get out just yesterday or so, 2 days ago. I don't know. Ever since the quiet period's over, I'm letting them run around the kennel a bit with the e-collars on. And I think Gidget was out like 0.8 tenths of a mile. And I still had coverage with it on this, which is honestly pretty impressive for here in the woods. These things are tested out to 7 miles, but they're tested out to 7 miles with big antennas and flat terrain where you're on top looking down. Realistically, one of these in the woods with its basic setup with this antenna and this antenna here in the woods of the UP, you'd be looking at probably about a mile would be the extent of it. But that's actually quite a bit. That does give you some time to work towards that dog. Then of course you can put a longer antenna on it, and those things do work, and they give you much better coverage than you have on that. But all in all, honestly I don't have any complaints. And to be honest with you, if you have a current Astro or Alpha, a lot of the companies out there will do trade-ins on those, and if it's in good shape, you'd be amazed at the amount of money that you get for it. But of course you can keep your old collars, because your old collars are linked well with this. Me personally, I like this collar enough that I've seen enough that you should probably stay tuned on my channel, because I think I'm going to be selling my 15X collars or trading them in and bumping up to this 25, because I really, really like the battery life. I like the size of it, and it's really nice stuff. I know these things are expensive. There's no doubt. I will tell you, my last Garmin Alpha, I probably had well over 5 years of experience using that. And it was still working fine with the updates and whatnot. These do last a while. But I was able to trade it in for a really good deal on this one. And the only thing that you got to really be careful with on these, of course, is this charging port. On the previous generation, it was kind of a shit show. But on this one, the USB-C makes it a lot nicer. So I highly recommend it. I know they cost a lot of money, but it is really, really worth it. Particularly that InReach function on here. A lot of us don't think about that, but there are a lot of places we hunt nowadays without cell service. And it's nice to have that, especially since it's tethered to your phone now and you can just use your phone to send that text. So that's really all I have. Sorry it took me so long to get the video out, but I wanted to make sure that I was giving you a quality, hands-on experience. I've used it for a little bit, and I really, really, really do like it. So thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can always put them in the chat, or message me, or visit my webpage and send a text message there also. So this is Uncle Grouse. I'm signing out for now, saying thanks for tuning in.